Imagine the world of the year 2030. You do not have your own car. You order a self-driving taxi through an app. You do not have a home. You rent an apartment, furniture, even clothes by subscription. You do not have cash. Everything is paid with a digital currency controlled by the government. One button press. And your access to money is blocked for a wrong tweet or an excessively large carbon footprint. And do you know what is the scariest part? You're told that you must be happy. This is not a dystopia from a novel. This is an official plan developed by the most influential people on the planet. It is called the Great Reset. Today we will examine what it is, who stands behind it, and why some call it the greatest deception in the history of humankind. The World Economic Forum. Who are these people? The Great Reset is promoted by an organization called the World Economic Forum. The World Economic Forum. Its headquarters are in Davos, Switzerland. Every January, the following people gather there. Billionaires, Bill Gates, George Soros, the founders of Google and Amazon, heads of corporations, BlackRock, JP Morgan, Pfizer, Microsoft, politicians, presidents, prime ministers, heads of central banks, and the International Monetary Fund. This is not an elected organization. It is a private club. The membership fee for a corporation is $600,000 per year, but their decisions affect the lives of billions of people. The founder and head of the World Economic Forum is Klaus Schwab, a German economist, 85 years old. He looks like a villain from a James Bond movie. Seriously, Google his photo in a black cloak. Schwab wrote the book COVID-19, The Great Reset, in the year 2020, where he laid out the plan. The official version, what they say. According to the World Economic Forum, the Great Reset is a plan for the restructuring of the global economy after the COVID-19 pandemic toward a more fair, sustainable, and inclusive model. Sounds noble, right? Here are the key elements of their plan. 1. Stakeholder capitalism, capitalism of interested parties. Companies must serve not only shareholders, but all stakeholders, workers, society, the planet. It sounds good, but who decides what is fair? The World Economic Forum and their friends? 2. The Fourth Industrial Revolution, the merging of physical, digital, and biological worlds. Artificial intelligence, robots, biotechnology, the Internet of Things. Technology controls every aspect of life. 3. Green economy, carbon neutrality, rejection of fossil fuels, ESG, environmental, social, governance, standards for companies. Companies that do not meet the standards are financially strangled. 4. Central bank digital currencies, CBDC. The abolition of cash and the introduction of programmable digital money. The government sees every one of your transactions and can control what you spend money on. 5. Sharing economy, shared use economy. Instead of ownership, renting everything, cars, homes, even clothes, everything by subscription. And here's the famous phrase from a World Economic Forum video from the year 2016. By the year 2030, you will own nothing and you will be happy. This is not a joke. This is the official slogan of their campaign. The video was on their website, later removed after a wave of criticism, but the internet remembers everything. The unofficial version, what they really want. Critics of the Great Reset see a very different picture. Here is their interpretation. You will own nothing equals the liquidation of private property for ordinary people. Everything will belong to corporations and be rented out. You will become a permanent renter, dependent on the system. And you will be happy equals control through technology and propaganda. Artificial intelligence, social networks, and digital currencies will ensure that you cannot rebel. Unhappy? Access to money is blocked. Your social rating has dropped. You are an outcast. This is neither capitalism nor socialism. This is corporate feudalism. The elites own everything. Everyone else are serfs with iPhones. Why was COVID the perfect moment? In the year 2020, the world stopped. Economies collapsed. People were in fear and panic. Governments received emergency powers. Lockdowns, vaccination passports, mass surveillance. All of this became normalized within months. Klaus Schwab wrote in his book, "The pandemic represents a rare but narrow window of opportunity to rethink, reimagine, and reset our world." A rare window of opportunity. They were waiting for a crisis. Or did they create it? The question is open, but the timing is suspiciously convenient. The phrase, "never let a crisis go to waste," belongs to Rahm Emanuel, an advisor to Obama. Elites know, in chaos, people give up freedoms for the illusion of security. Young global leaders, Schwab's army. For decades, the World Economic Forum has been preparing young politicians through the Young Global Leaders program. Among the graduates are Angela Merkel, Chancellor of Germany, Emmanuel Macron, President of France, Jacinda Ardern, Prime Minister of New Zealand, harsh COVID lockdowns, Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook, Larry Page, Google, Tony Blair, former Prime Minister of Britain, Gavin Newsom, Governor of California. Schwab publicly bragged in the year 2017. I have to say that when I mention names like Mrs. Merkel, even Vladimir Putin, and so on, all of them were young global leaders of the World Economic Forum. But what we are really proud of now is the young generation, like Prime Minister Trudeau. We penetrate the cabinets. We penetrate the cabinets. He does not hide it. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is a conspiracy they openly talk about. Who finances the World Economic Forum? Corporate members pay hundreds of thousands annually. The largest sponsors include BlackRock, manages $10 trillion in assets, the largest in the world, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Pfizer, AstraZeneca, Facebook, Twitter, now X. Do you see the pattern? These are the ones who control technology, finance, media, and medicine. They are not just rich. They control the infrastructure of modern life. They want to reset the world in their favor. So, the elites have a plan, but how do they implement it? How do you make 8 billion people give up property and freedom? The answer is not by force, at least not yet, but through a system that makes resistance impossible. Mechanism 1, central bank digital currencies, CBDCs. This is the most important tool. Cash is freedom, anonymity. The government does not know what you bought. But cash is disappearing. Sweden is almost completely cashless. China is actively rolling out the digital yuan. The Federal Reserve and the European Central Bank are testing a digital dollar and a digital euro. In the years 2023 and 2024, dozens of countries launched pilot CBDC programs. How is a CBDC different from ordinary bank transfers? Today, when you pay by card, the transaction goes through a bank. The bank knows the government can request the data, but there are legal barriers. With a CBDC, the government directly controls your money. The central bank sees every transaction in real time. Moreover, the money is programmable. What does this mean? Expiration. This money must be spent within 1 month, otherwise it will expire. This forces people to spend instead of save. Restrictions. This money can only be spent on food, not on gasoline. The government decides what you're allowed to buy. Geolocation. This money is valid only within a radius of 15 kilometers from your home. Movement control. Social rating. You have too many negative posts on social media, access to money is restricted. China is already doing this. This is not a theory. This functionality already exists in pilot programs. Example, China. The digital yuan has been tested since the year 2020. The government distributed free yuan to citizens through an application. The condition was to spend it within 1 week. The money expired. China also linked the digital currency to the social credit system. A low rating means you cannot buy a train ticket or an airplane ticket. Your children cannot enter university. 16 million Chinese citizens are already on blacklists. Their lives are controlled through money. The World Economic Forum praises China as a model. Mechanism 2, carbon credits, control through saving the planet. The green reset is part of the plan. Carbon neutrality sounds noble. But look at the mechanism, personal carbon limits. The idea is simple. Every person is given an annual carbon dioxide limit. You flew on an airplane, -2 tons. You drove a gasoline car, -0.5 tons. You ate beef, -0.1 tons, because cows emit methane. Exceeded the limit? A fine. Or you cannot buy a plane ticket, gasoline, or meat. The CBDC simply blocks the transaction. This is already being discussed. Oxford University published a study in the year 2023 titled Personal Carbon Allowances, Personal Carbon Limits as a Tool to Fight Climate Change. The British city of Oxford is introducing 15-minute cities, zones where residents are not supposed to travel farther than 15 minutes from home without permission. Officially, this is about reducing emissions. In reality, it is movement control. Who is exempt from the limits? The elites. Bill Gates flies on private jets, with emissions comparable to 16 ordinary Americans per year. World Economic Forum participants fly to Davos on 1,500 private jets every year. But they teach you to give up your car for the planet. Rules for you, but not for them. Mechanism 3. You will own nothing. The end of private property. The subscription economy is already here. Netflix and Spotify. You do not own content, you rent access. Uber and Lyft. You do not own a car, you rent a ride. WeWork and Airbnb. You do not own an office or housing, you rent. The next level is everything else, housing. BlackRock and other corporations are buying homes en masse. In the United States, in the years 2021 to 2023, investment funds bought 30% of homes on the market. Prices skyrocketed. Young people cannot afford a mortgage. The solution? Rent forever. Companies offer long-term rentals with amenities. You never own a home, but it is convenient. Cars. Electric vehicles are expensive. The average price is $60,000 or more. Governments are banning gasoline cars starting in the years 2030 to 2035, including California, the European Union, and Britain. The alternative? Mobility as a service, a transport subscription. You call an autonomous taxi through an application. You do not need your own car. Convenient? Yes. But you depend on the platform. You violated the rules, too many trips, a low social rating, access denied, even clothing. H&M and others are testing clothing rental. You pay a subscription, receive new clothes every month, return the old ones. You own nothing. Why is this dangerous? Ownership equals independence. If you have a house, a car, land, you can say no to the system. Renting equals dependence. The service provider controls you. They do not like your behavior. The contract is terminated. You are on the street. Under feudalism, peasants did not own land. They rented it from the Lord. The Lord could expel them at any moment. The Great Reset is neo-feudalism. Mechanism 4, artificial intelligence and total surveillance. The fourth industrial revolution of the World Economic Forum is not only about robots. It is about merging technologies for control, the Internet of Things. Your refrigerator is connected to the Internet. It knows what you eat. Too much meat? A notification appears. You have exceeded the recommended consumption. Meat orders are blocked. Your thermostat is connected. You exceeded your carbon limit. Heating is restricted to 15 degrees Celsius. Your car is connected. You exceeded the speed limit. An automatic fine. You tried to travel beyond the permitted zone. The engine is remotely disabled. Facial recognition. China has 600 million cameras with facial recognition. You cross the street in the wrong place. An automatic fine is deducted from your digital yuan. Artificial intelligence knows who you are, where you are, and what you are doing. London, New York, and Moscow are expanding camera networks for safety. But who controls the system? Digital identity. The World Economic Forum promotes a global digital identity. One identification for everything. Banks, healthcare, social media, voting, everything is connected. Convenient? Yes. But if you are canceled, one click, and you disappear from the system. No access to money, healthcare, or transport. You are a ghost. This already happened to participants in the Canadian trucker protests in the year 2022. Trudeau used emergency powers to freeze the bank accounts of protesters without a court order. Just like that, for a peaceful protest. This is a preview of the future. The picture is dark. The elites are planning a world where you own nothing, every step you take is tracked, and disobedience is punished by being disconnected from the system. But this is not inevitable. History shows that totalitarian plans fail when people resist. Why the Great Reset can fail. First, too open. Usually, elites act quietly, but the World Economic Forum speaks openly. You will own nothing. This wakes people up. Millions have seen the videos, read Schwab's books, and think, wait, is this serious? Shock and outrage are growing. Protests against central bank digital currencies, carbon taxes, and digital control are multiplying. Second, technology is not all-powerful. Systems get hacked. Artificial intelligence makes mistakes. People find workarounds. In China, with its massive surveillance, a black market thrives where you can buy anything for cash. Any control system creates a counter system. Third, human nature. People want to own things. This is an instinct. A home, land, family. This is the meaning of life for most people. An attempt to take this away will cause resistance. Even in the Soviet Union, where private property was officially banned, people had dachas, apartments, and personal belongings. Full communism failed in 70 years. Fourth, the elites are not united. Not all billionaires agree with the Great Reset. Elon Musk criticizes the World Economic Forum. Peter Thiel calls them a globalist cult. There is a struggle among elites. When elites fight each other, the people can take advantage of the moment. What is happening now? Signs of resistance, protests. Canada, the year 2022. Truck drivers blocked Ottawa, protesting COVID mandates and the movement toward digital control. Tens of thousands of people. The Netherlands, the years 2022 to 2023. Farmers protest green laws that force them to cut livestock by 30%. This destroys their businesses for carbon goals. France, the year 2023. Mass protests against Macron's pension reform. Millions in the streets. Sri Lanka, the year 2022. The government fell after an attempt to introduce environmental, social, and governance policies that destroyed agriculture. People are starting to understand that the green agenda and justice are a cover for control and impoverishment. Rejection of central bank digital currencies. The United States. Polls show that 70% of Americans are against a digital dollar. Several states, including Florida and North Carolina, have passed laws banning central bank digital currencies on their territory. Switzerland, Citizens demand a referendum to preserve cash, alternative currencies, Bitcoin, gold, silver, barter networks. People are creating parallel systems of exchange independent of banks. In Texas, a proposal exists for a state-level gold standard, Texas gold money independent of the dollar. What can you do? You are not Elon Musk, not a president, but you have power. Here are concrete steps. First, financial independence. Keep cash, not all money in banks. Cash provides anonymity and protection from account freezes. Buy physical gold and silver, not exchange-traded funds, not paper but metal in your hands. This is money that cannot be blocked. Cryptocurrencies, carefully. Bitcoin, Monero, which is anonymous, but store them in your own wallet, not on an exchange. Avoid debt. Debt equals dependence. Mortgages and loans make you vulnerable. Second, own assets, land. If you can, buy at least a small plot. Land is something that cannot be easily taken away, a house or an apartment. Ownership is better than renting. Even small property is a foundation. Tools and skills, the ability to repair, build, and grow food. These are assets that work in any system. Third, technological caution. Minimize the Internet of Things. A smart home is convenient, but it is a surveillance system. The more connected devices you have, the more data exists about you. Use virtual private networks and encrypted messengers such as Signal and Telegram. Privacy protection. Do not connect everything to one identification. Do not give the system a complete picture of you. Fourth, local communities. Know your neighbors. In a crisis, communities survive, not individuals. Local farmers and producers. Buy directly, bypassing corporate chains. This is economic independence, barter networks. Exchange services and goods without money. This has existed for thousands of years and works. Fifth, political resistance. Vote for anti-globalists, politicians who oppose central bank digital currencies, oppose the World Economic Forum, and support sovereignty. Support laws that protect cash. Demand that lawmakers ban forced digitalization. Spread information. Most people do not know about the Great Reset. Tell them. Sixth, mental preparation. Do not give in to fear. The system runs on fear. Climate catastrophe, pandemic, terrorists. There's always a threat that demands you give up freedom. Critical thinking. Ask who benefits. When elites offer a solution, look at who wins. A realistic forecast. What happens next? Honestly, the Great Reset will be partially implemented. Too much money, power, and technology are on the side of the elites. The pessimistic scenario, 30% probability. Central bank digital currencies are introduced everywhere by the year 2030. Cash is banned. Carbon limits, social ratings, total surveillance. Most people accept it because it is convenient and safe. The resisting minority is marginalized. The result is a neo-feudal society. Elites own everything. The masses rent and obey. The optimistic scenario, 20% probability. Mass resistance stops the plans. Central bank digital currencies fail in democratic countries. Populist politicians come to power and cancel the globalist agenda. A return to national sovereignty, cash, and private property. The result is a rollback of globalization, but more freedom. The middle scenario, 50% probability, partial implementation. Central bank digital currencies are introduced in some countries, such as China and the European Union, but fail in others, such as the United States and Russia. The world splits into blocks, a globalist bloc with control and a sovereign bloc with freedom. The result is a fragmented world. You can choose where to live, but the choice is limited. Final thoughts. The Great Reset is not a conspiracy theory. It is an open plan. They wrote books, made videos, held conferences. They do not hide it. The question is not, is it real? The question is, will we allow it to happen? History shows that elites always try to control the masses. Kings, emperors, dictators, corporations. The form changes. The essence does not. But history also shows that when people say no, systems collapse. The Roman Empire, the British Empire, the Soviet Union, all seemed invincible. All fell. The Great Reset can become the greatest enslavement in history, or the greatest awakening when people realize that our freedom is worth fighting for. The choice is ours. You will own nothing and be happy? No, I will own my life and be free, and that is worth it.